By the end of the series, do you think Sukuna might be in the discussion for top 5 anime manga villains of all time? Personally, I don't think Kenjaku even makes it to the top 10. Before we enter that, I just wanted to say a massive shout out to everyone who has supported me recently and sent me their well wishes. It doesn't go unnoticed. That truly, it means a lot. And I am insanely blessed to have a community like you guys. Like, truly, thank you so much. But back to the question, I think the pair of them are insane villains in their own rights. However, if it comes down to who I think is in the top 5, top 10 of all time, I can't give 2 spots in the top 10 to 2 villains from Jujutsu Kaisen. So in my own personal opinion, while Sukuna is truly an incredible definition of what it means to be a villain in anime and manga, like, this man has taken literally every opportunity he can to take over Yuji's body and throw hands with whoever is the closest person to him, even killing Yuji in the process, and even, as I mentioned in a previous video, baiting Yuji into possibly one of the best anime manga plot twists of all time, in my opinion, with the enchain binding vow. This man has truly lived and breathed to ruin Yuji's life however he could, but I feel like that is as far as Sukuna as a villain goes. While Kenjaku, on the other hand, this man has been the sole reason for Yuji's existence and suffering but pretty much the entirety of the series, and probably even further as we get further into it. Almost everything Yuji has gone through has been a result of Kenjaku's plans and scheming, and every time this man is on the panels, you know something bad is going to happen, or he's going to drop this little nugget of information that is going to make you realize that there is more to this man than meets the eye right now, and he is truly a mastermind in what he does. And while he may not be as powerful as Sukuna, something about Kenjaku, in my opinion, truly puts him above Sukuna, and I think it's just because of the way he is, this scheming, the menacing attitude, the look about him. And then there's the part of, we all know one of the main reasons for Kenjaku doing and causing all of this chaos and destruction and planning all of this throughout Jujutsu Kaisen is just simply because he's interested in seeing what is going to happen, and that in and of itself is enough reason for me, and is way more terrifying than anything Sukuna has, can, and will do. And even Sukuna himself called Kenjaku a twisted person. If Sukuna, a human, a creature known for literally eating and cooking women and children, and God knows what other heinous crimes this person has committed, is calling you a twisted human being, then you know that is one truly messed up individual for sure. Do you think JJK will rush the ending of Jujutsu Kaisen? I've seen people say this a lot, and they think it will be rushed. Me, personally, I'm holding on to the copium that until we see that final arc announcement from Shonen on the pages of Jujutsu Kaisen, and I'm holding out hope that he was just trolling and intends to keep the story going for us, maybe as long as possible, or at least a little while longer. However, if it does turn out that we do only have the rest of this year to finish and close up the story, then I think a lot of it will be wrapped up in a nice little neat bow. From a narrative perspective, you have to look at it at the previous 4 to 5 chapters and look at how much has happened. If JJK was to wrap up the story this year, I do think it'll be tied up in a nice little neat bow for us to digest, and I do think that the final arc will be all gas, no brakes. The pacing of the past couple of chapters have been absolutely insane, so from a narrative perspective, it gives off finish fast and strong type of vibes, but then again, it could just all be a ruse, and there is more to the story for us, and still a lot to cover. We do just have to let JJK cook, and oh boy, he definitely does cook for us. But you know who else does cook? Today's video sponsor, Factor 75 Meals, the savior of mealtime woes. If you've decided that you want to have the same body as Todo and become a ripped human mutant gorilla, sign up to Factor and receive delicious, delectable, ready-to-eat meals straight to your humble abode. Then you need to look no further than Factor 75. Each and every meal is crafted by a masterful chef and delivered straight to your door, all ready to go in a jiffy. Say goodbye to the hassle of trying to figure out what's healthy and what's not. Factor takes care of all of it, and now you can indulge in some delectable dishes without compromising on nutrition. So what are you waiting for? Join Factor today and get a taste of what it's like to be an honored one using the link in the description, or go to factor75.com and use code FACTOR SE33076 for 50% off your first box. Once again, shout out Factor75 for sponsoring today's video. Thoughts on the final battle? Who has the best chances of survival? I've said this multiple times now, and I'll carry on preaching my theory. I don't think many of the good guys in the series will survive encounters with Sukuna now that he is out free and walking talking about. Sukuna is the very definition of once this smoke, catch these hands. And the only person we've seen deal actual damage to Sukuna was Hana with Angel's technique. And outside of that, seemingly no one else has even come close. And I've been a big fan of the idea of Gojo being the last man standing once the dust settles. I really love and subscribe to the idea of him being the quote-unquote strongest sorcerer alive and not being able to protect anyone around him. A tragic ending for the strongest sorcerer, and going off how the previous narrative of the story has gone, the last time we saw Gojo, he really wasn't able to save everyone. He had to make sacrifices due to the position that the disaster cases had put him in. So I think narratively it does fit. And then circling back to the chances of survival, I think many people may not make it out of the series either alive or unscathed, but all I know is that I need my boy Yuta to move his little self on far away from Sukuna as possible. Wherever Sukuna is at right now, I need my boy Yuta to be on the opposite end of the earth, away from him. I do not need to read the chapter where Yuta is just getting packed up. That is just not something I need to read or see in my life right now. What relevance do you think Mei will have moving forward? Is she the game master? Is she my queen? Will she be one of the survivors of the series? And will she ascend to a high level due to her selfish nature? Okay, there is a lot to break down in this one. So first of all, I don't think we will see her again. I think she realized just how bad things were about to get with Kenjaku and Sukuna and left the country and intends to stay far away as possible. I doubt she's the game master unless it turns out that she made a vow with Kenjaku for a lot of money to leave the country and then possibly run the Cullen Games from far. Who knows? Is she your queen? Listen, if Mei is your type, then my thoughts and prayers go out to you, and I hope you find God sometime soon, because you need it. Will she be a survivor of the series? It's entirely possible if she does stay out of the country and doesn't interfere with anything that is going on inside of the Cullen Games right now. Yeah, she probably makes it out completely unscathed and safe. And then finally, will she ascend to a higher level due to her selfish nature? It's very possible. However, she cares more about money than fighting and ascending higher. It's clear to me that she is only a sorcerer for the earning potential and the monetary value, not because she enjoys the world or sorcery or the luster of a good fight. The likes of Sukuna and Gojo are so genuinely embroiled in the world of Jujutsu and either becoming stronger or fighting the strongest people around that they've been able to ascend to the honored one, quote unquote. So in terms of Mei, she does have the qualities of selfishness, but her obsession with money hinders that ability to reach the next level, in my opinion. The only thing stopping Yuji from getting powerful is a curse technique. Meanwhile, Gege is telling us that he is going to end the manga by the end of 2023. Do you think it's pretty late for Yuji? If you think Yuji is about to get a curse technique right now, I think narratively it only has to be two things. Number one, Yuji gains the ability to use Black Flash at will. We have seen Yuji break the record for using it, and it's something that would be able to put Yuji in a position where he can fight the highest level of these opponents, but it doesn't make him stupidly overpowered all of a sudden in that standard shonen protagonist fashion, which I've openly said, if Yuji does get a power-up and it does all of a sudden make him stupidly overpowered and then all of a sudden become the same level as Gojo or Sukuna by the end of the series, Gege better have a damn good explanation for it, because otherwise it would feel like an ass pull for me, which is why I think Black Flash fits this whole narrative and would be a good thing for him, considering how many times he's used it. And even in Shibuya, it was stated that Yuji in that fight was so amazing, he made you feel as if he was using Black Flash at will. So my first guess for Yuji gaining any sort of technique or maybe a power-up at best is for the possibility of him to be able to use Black Flash at will. And it would also make him kind of, at the moment, a perfect counter for Sukuna, being able to attack the soul. Sukuna having technically two souls in that one vessel right now, it could help bring our boy Megumi back. So the idea of Yuji using a Black Flash really appeals to me. And then number two, Yuji gains some form of cleave and dismantle. You remember at the earlier on in the series, Gojo does say that at some point down the line, Yuji will gain access to Sukuna's technique. And now I believe that this could be a way that he could do this is by getting the other five fingers of Sukuna and ingesting them. If Yuji did this, I believe it could awaken him. I don't think Sukuna would be able to reincarnate into two bodies at the same time, but I do think the boost in cast energy from the fingers could help Yuji trip over the edge, and with Sukuna having now left Yuji's body, those remaining 5 fingers may help unlock Sukuna's technique that perhaps Sukuna was holding back from Yuji while he was inside Yuji's body. So there are possibilities for Yuji to gain a technique. I've also seen a few people saying, what about Yuji's domain? I think if Yuji does get a domain, I genuinely do think that that will be an arse pull, and you will see me slate the series possibly for the first time ever, because that would be craziness if all of a sudden he goes from no technique to now having a technique and a domain expansion. It would be crazy. The narrative would have to fit it perfectly, and it would have to be very, very well explained. Otherwise, it would just feel like a standard shonen protagonist. But again, I'm falling back on my argument of I don't think everyone is going to survive this series, and I certainly don't think it's going to be a happy ending for a lot of our protagonists here. But that is everything from me. If you haven't already, make sure to like and subscribe, as it truly does help me out, and we are now coming up to 8,000 subscribers, which is insane. The goal is possibly 10k by the end of the month in March, so hopefully we can make that happen. Let me know what you thought of the video in the comments down below, and as always, I'll catch you guys all in the next one. Much love, big kisses, bye-bye.